What's going on, Exploders? Today I have a new product to show you, and this one addresses the issue of carrying airsoft grenades and deploying them rapidly. If you've ever used an airsoft grenade, you know it could be a huge advantage over the enemy when you're fighting over a small area and you know going into the room is certain death. Tossing that grenade could be what saves you in that game and keeps you going instead of walking back to respawn. The problem with most airsoft grenades is that they're difficult to deploy. Usually they're kept in the pouch, so you have to pull open the pouch, make a lot of noise, pull the grenade out, get both hands out so you could hold the grenade, pull the pin, toss it, and then when it goes out, now you have your pin in your hand, the spoon is out there fumbling around somewhere. It's a lot of steps, and usually if you're deploying a grenade, you're in a close quarter situation. Time is of the essence, and the longer you take, the more chances the enemy gets to jump on you and rushes you while you're standing there trying to figure out which pouch you have the grenade in. I didn't want to have to deal with that, and I didn't want to have to deal with picking up leftover parts like pins and spoons. So when the Burst XL came around, first, it's an awesome grenade. What I like about it is that it's reusable. The only thing you're spending every time you throw it is the little membrane that you could quickly replace, and it's very affordable. The grenade itself is a great choice because it's so practical. It costs a little bit to get into it initially, but the reuse price is very low compared to something like a Thunder Bee where you have to change the shell, or even the pea grenades where the whole thing is gone. I liked a lot of things about that grenade, except for when you threw it, you were left with the pin in your hand, which you could easily lose, and you had to always find a spot for it after you get rid of the grenade instead of just getting back into the fight. So my solution is this little piece. Now this is the way it comes if you order it from my store at BrainExploderCreations.com. It's a 3D printed shape waist part. It's very simple and it's very minimal, and that's for a reason. So here's how it looks. What this does is, as you can see it here in practice, it slides over a webbing of molle. All you need is one strip of molle and then the second strip above it to hold the pin. You loop the ring around the second row of molle. So one row of molle, you have the BrainExploderCreations.com Burst XL holder, and the other row you have your pin that comes with your grenade. Once this slides over, and this works on all sorts of molle, including your standard molle here, or the fat molle that some vests have, or even the Velcro molle that you might find on some other vests. Depending where you're putting it on your plate carrier, you might run into one of those options. So once you slide this over and you put the ring in, you're done. All you need to do is take your grenade, go through the normal steps. You reset the plunger, put in the new fresh membrane, fill it up with gas. Only thing you're doing is you're putting the pin in last, and you're doing that on your body. And then you lock grenade on this bottom lip here that will hold the metal edge of the grenade, but will not interfere with the membrane, and will hold it real tight. The grenade will not fall out under typical airsoft conditions like running, jumping, climbing, none of that stuff. It's in there good because it's pinched between the friction held pin at the top and the lip in this mount. As you can see, it's extremely minimal. From the front, you can't even tell. I had a lot of people ask me, how are those grenades on there? Because it looks like they're just floating on top of the vest. And that's essentially what they're doing. They're pinched from behind, but there's nothing holding them in the front. They're very minimal. And this only takes up one column of molle. So you could put these side by side. You can here have two stacked. I've done 3 before. Now on the back of the grenade, you will see there's an opening, there's an indent, like a little circle cut out, and that's for a magnet to go in. I have one here. You could buy these off Amazon. They're very affordable. And it just friction fits in there. You could also glue it in. What this does is when you deploy the grenade, the pin goes dangling down. This will add a bonus of retaining the pin via magnet. These pins are steel, I believe, so once it drops in here, there's a little groove for it, and the magnet will hold it in place as well. Completely optional, not necessary. It's just like a little final touch if you were just trying to go for that super slick, no noise setup. Now the best part about this is deploying the grenade. All you have to do is when you're ready to go, grab it with your either left or right hand. You can keep your hand on the weapon, come down with your left hand, pull up on the grenade to clear it off the lip that's holding in place, and pull it off the ring. Now it's armed, it's in your hand, there's no parts left, just a grenade to throw. You toss it and you're right back on the gun. And you could do this one after the next if you need to throw multiples. That is my favorite part because all you have to do is collect your grenade at the end, so make sure you mark it and it's easily identifiable. Reset it, put it back on the rig, you're good to go. No spoons, no pins to collect, nothing's left in your hand. I'll give you a couple tips on where to place your grenade holder. On a different vest, I had placed it in the middle here just because I had space. I had mags on the side, and I kept this place clean so I could, it's a sniper setup, so I could get low crawl possibly, or just not have to worry about anything on my front. But I put it there because I had no space on the side. Bad idea. Here is where you tend to do most of your up and down moving, and since this grenade is kind of taken off the mount, when you do want to take it off by pulling up, you can clip it with your gun and knock it off. It's not going to fall right off, it'll hang on the pin, but if you forget about, which you will forget about because you have more important, more fun things going on in front of you, eventually it'll fall off, fall to the ground, detonate, and you'll kill yourself, and it's extremely embarrassing, especially if your teammates are around. So don't put it on the front. I would suggest putting it on the side, or like I have here, it is kind of towards the front, but it's sandwiched between my main magazine pouch holder and my secondary pouch holder. So there's really kind of a built-in barrier for the grenades. And this has worked fine. I have it on 2 different vests set up like this. Never dropped one, works totally well. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing where to put the grenade. Don't put it somewhere where you have a lot of up and down movement or you plan to doing a lot of crawling. Just think of it like a Kydex holster. If you put a Kydex holster on your chest and then you went and crawl through the mud, your gun would probably fall out just from all the friction. So sides, or have built-in pouches around it, so it's unlikely that you'll somehow accidentally scoop it up from the bottom. Like I told you, it's really easy to install this. You slide over the molle and you put in your provided ring that comes with your Airsoft Innovations Burst XL grenades. Now, one thing I did do is I cut down these pins a little bit. The normal way they stick out is kind of far. It's maybe an extra 1/4 inch here or so. Now, it's not a problem, and it'll even work better because you have more length of pin to hold the grenade on there, so if it slides sliding forward, it has more room. The problem is you could scratch or poke yourself doing this because it's pretty stiff and it's hanging on the front where your arms are moving around. You could give yourself a pretty nasty gash. So I would recommend cutting the pins down just enough to where they stick out on this side, but they don't go any further. This has worked well for me. I cut it off and I rounded off a little bit with a Dremel. Not an issue. Keep that in mind. I don't want you guys hurting yourselves. So there you go, guys. This little simple thing will allow you to carry reusable, very practical grenades without having to worry about leftover parts in your hand or scatter all over the floor when you pull one. Highly recommend this grenade. Keep it lubed, it'll work forever. And pick one of these up at BrainExploderCreations.com. Make it for a clean looking setup, easy deployment, no fumbling around. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to subscribe, check out the store, and I'll see you on the next one.